production of this program has been made possible in part by a generous donation by the Goldstein Family Foundation for middle-aged men doing the bare minimum.
Well, I wish you were here. When you come, we're going to come here. NESIYA, we're going to take you to Pepperdine.
Hello and welcome to another edition of This Is Your Life So Far, Good For You. And as always, I'm your contractually obligated host, Lester Berman. So, on with the show. There's not enough nougat in the bar. Not enough nougat in the bar. There's not enough nougat in the bar! Just a few months after Dr. Bonnie Mark and Rabbi Jan Goldstein tied the knot in late 1998, there was a flurry of Goldstein kids getting married and them having their own children. And to further grow their families and the Jewish population, both Yaffa and Batsheva remarried and brought in or over new children and stepchildren. With that came in-laws and more friends. Here are their stories.
So I remember the first time that I ever met Jan. Elisha and I had just been dating for a short amount of time, and we came down to LA to meet his family. And I walk into his dad's house, and he is standing there holding his then 2-year-old daughter, Shira, upside down by her leg with her pants off, and was like, "Hey, great to meet you." And I just sort of instantly understood Elisha so much better in that moment, meeting his dad in all of his glory, hanging his daughter, you know, by her leg and still welcoming me with such a warm, open heart. And it was just such a beautiful sort of first impression. And one of the other things that I remember looking in the refrigerator and seeing the butter and how the butter had been scooped from the middle and there were crumbs all over it. And it also made me understand Elisha so much better in that moment, because I could never understand why he didn't just go from one end and why there was always crumbs still left in the butter. And so these were sort of a couple of my initial impressions and memories of Jan, and how it just warmed my heart to see the connection between him and Elisha, and how some of these beautiful idiosyncrasies have been passed down to his son, who I was at the time falling in love with.
Asher and I just did a thing. Asher, did you know I was going to see you?
Papa always told me, a lot of different stories. Just like my dad, he was a storyteller. He is a storyteller. That was probably the best part of going to services, since I didn't really like it otherwise, was be able to hear all his stories. I think he told me one time that he got to hold an Uzi or something like that, because I think it was during the Yom Kippur War. There's some more that happened, something about how you have to hide mom and Yaffa in a bathtub or something. It's one of the best parts of his podcasts. I've listened to a bunch of them already, and he does a lot of retellings and stuff I've never heard of, like one about this sick kid, about him meeting John Williams. I'm sure he's going to tell a lot more. I haven't heard any recently, but you got to, talk about stuff with him one-on-one when he came up to Vermont to see me. I think he told me about this guy that, I can't remember if he was a bully or not, but something about, I don't know, Papa got to know him one way or another, and he went to Vietnam and he didn't come back, and I think Papa showed me the street corner or something in Vermont where he saw him or used to talk to him or something like that. There's so much stories Papa's told me about. He's pretty much the family storyteller. He's done so much, and he's accomplished so much too. It's very inspiring. But that's one of the things I love about him, is all the knowledge he's accumulated, all the stories he can tell, and every story he does tell, he tells it like a book. Whenever I'm listening to his podcast, I always try to think, how can I write like that? Because just the way he tells it already paints a picture, which not many people talk like that. He's just always telling a story no matter what he's doing, and that makes it so captivating to listen to him. And that's one of the best parts about Mr. Papa Jan.
The story that comes to mind is he was telling us about how Danny almost got kicked out of college because she got one F in a class, and how Bonnie had to help her like get back into that college, and it was just like very obvious how much he cared about Danny and this other family. And you can really tell when Papa's telling stories, just like he cares so much about all these people. And I think that's really special because you don't meet people who are that compassionate a lot of the time.
You imagine the dance off that's going to happen in a few years?
Much, much, much later.
Biggest thing that comes to mind for me when I start thinking about the legend himself is his storytelling capabilities. Usually when you hear the bard with capitals, you know, you think of Shakespeare, but for me, the man who comes to mind is none other than Jan himself. I mean, the guy can spin a yarn better than anyone I've ever met. And I remember I was writing my college essay for UW, and I was like, I need to get some help with this, you know, to make this kind of next level. And I was like, instantly, you know, Papa, I'll call him, he'll help me out. So he helped me write my essay, and, you know, in doing so, he told me some personal stories of his. And, you know, I just remember calling him on the phone, helping him, or with him helping me edit the essay. And I was just crying because he had told me the story about how he had gone to Scotland or whatever. And it was so emotional just over the phone. I couldn't see him. There was none of that. It was just his voice and the story he told. Like, there was no significance, you know, he didn't need to make it this grand thing, but it ended up being so. So I think that was pretty cool. And then, yeah, that's probably the best thing I've ever written as well. So I could attribute that mostly to him. He did all of the online High Holy Days during COVID, so I think that was super cool, and he managed to make it entertaining, and I haven't really been to many services that have been like that, so props to him for that. And he also brought everyone together from like across the nation for that, so I think that was really cool as well.
We're here for SHAI, Gabriel.
Salam bore Perea Goffin. Amen. Adonai Elohim Salam. Wait.
Share Kiddushana.
Share Kiddushana b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. L'shabbat kiddushon uvratzon him hilanu. Zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit.
I interviewed him once during my sophomore year for a project, and he was telling me about how he wrote, directed, and produced rock and roll musicals that were like biblical, and basically, you know, had me understand that if I want to get something done, you got to do it yourself. One of the first songs that got him into rock and roll was Na 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 baby, na na you know you twist so fine. The Beatles were new and different, and I think that awoke something inside him to make a band, learn guitar, become musically talented, which is ultimately what he was and still is, and inspires people to do, is to, you know, create inspiring crafts and work with music, make things entertaining. That's what he integrates into his services. And that's why he is known as the most entertaining rabbi there is. You know, that's why my friends and people I know just refer to him as the Rockin' Rabbi. No biggie.
2019, my mom and I traveled up, just the two of us, none of the older kids. We traveled up to Cali, and I stayed with Papa the first 3 days, I think. And a really special moment that I had with him is we went on a little bike ride along the beach, and I got to learn about how he took Bonnie's dad to the same beach to ask him for Bonnie's, like, for the blessing for their marriage. And then he took Bonnie there after that, and asked her to marry him there. So it was really special, and I just got to hear about, like, all these places and memories. He's been a big part of the Judaism in my life. I really, like, look up to him as, like, a rabbi, not just my grandpa. And then also, like, he was the rabbi for my bar mitzvah. So that was really cool. So I really look up to him for that. Well, he helps plan the whole thing. And he was just, it was nice to have not like some rabbi that I've seen like a couple times at temple, but someone I really know and love to be there for me and support me. So that was really special.
Hold you on high. Look, the only thing greater than myself.
25,600 minutes. How do you measure a year in life?
Oh, Jan Goldstein? Yeah, I know that fellow. He's pretty interesting, gotta say. I remember this one time, oh, one sec, these are my homies. Hey! What you think you're doing walking those dogs?
Hey, people!
Anyway.
Fancy meeting you here. Look at the driver.
Okay, we're out. Anyways, moving on. I don't know who those are. Yeah, Jan Goldstein, he's pretty cool. I remember this one time we were also driving in a car. We were just like singing songs, and one of them was like, I love Sherry Lana. And
I love Asher Benjamin, and I love TALI Butterfield, and I love SHAI Gabriel too. All together now. I love Sherry Lana, I love Asher Benjamin, and I love TALI Butterfield, and I love SHAI Gabriel too. We thought we could get all our hands going. This is up for YouTube.
you guys, that's so good! Wait, yeah, it was a pretty fire song, gotta say. I don't remember that though. We were just making mad beats. Jan's just really good at making music and stuff, and carried the team all the time. So, shout out to that. That was a close one. Almost just got ran over. Yeah, he's just the homie, pretty cool. Got some creativity up in there. I think he published that song and made millions, but not 100% sure. Yeah.
He likes to highlight everyone's strong points, and he encourages everyone to try harder. And I feel that that's something that we should all cherish, because not everybody is like that. He would come to the Culver ice rink back when it was still open, and he would come to my performances, and he would be like cheering me on and screaming and shouting, and I can hear him like tell Bonnie and Shira like, she's on, let's go. Or like when I'm done and I've done the worst routine in the world, yet he's still like having the time of his life for me. He's it's kind of like your number one supporter.
And he came to the Christmas show, remember?
He came to the Christmas show.
He came through the wrong door?
Oh my God, Jan was like, Batsheva, like, let's go through here this way. Like, the line is so long. And it's not the door you're supposed to go through. It's only for, like, the equipment technicians and everything, and, like, the announcers. And the director is really close to me, and she's super sweet, but she knows my family is, like, well, she knows me, and I'm chaotic.
She knows Daddy.
And she knows my dad, and Dad is very much like Jan. So he was like, where's Amanda? And like all these numbers were going on, and like music was playing, and the audience was quiet. And I'm just like, how do I explain this to the director of the rink? Like, and Jan was like, the line was too long, I couldn't wait. I was like, oh my God, like, I'm so sorry. Wendy, these are my family members. Please excuse it.
Papa, I love you because you've always been so supportive to me. You come to my games and you've been always been so nice to me. And yeah, so I love you.
Love you, Lev.
You too. Happy birthday. I know it's not your birthday today. It's probably in a few months. That's what I was told. But we are celebrating because we have the college kids. Yeah. Happy birthday. You are the best grandpa anybody could ever ask for.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, sweetie. Love you.
So I saw this girl across the room, came into psychology school. That was you, Steph. And I was wondering, would you marry this fool? Would you marry this fool? Uh-huh. Would you marry this fool? That's what I was wondering. Would you marry me?
So one of the things that Rosie and I love about Jan is that we share very similar political views. And while this isn't necessarily such a big deal in most families, because Jan and I tend to be more on the liberal side together, it has actually been something that I think we both deeply appreciate in each other. And I will never forget when Barack Obama became president and we were sitting there together in his living room, both just weeping at the monumental experience and just profound meaning that this had for our country, for us, for our kids, our grandkids, and it just was such a really beautiful moment.
The work that you went into, Stephen, and helping make Israel happen, and coming home and dealing with all the things you dealt with, and still being there for Tali for this moment. So.
Jan. What can anybody say about Jan? There are some great stories about Jan that are out there that I personally have been part of. Of course, every story that Jan talks about is, well, it's bigger than life. So let's see if I can do Jan justice. Well, not too long after I had met Batsheva, where I was introduced to her at a service that Jan held at UCLA, did it become sort of, knowing that I really wanted to take it from dating Batsheva to, actually asking for her hand in marriage. And well, even at my age and in this time of life, it's still something that I think is important to do. So Jan was officiating my friend's wedding, Ari Kotmar, and his wife-to-be, Erica. And while we were at the rehearsal dinner in Marina Del Rey at the Marriott, there was some nice little tables outside. My dad was there, Jan was there, and I went up to Jan and I said, "Hey Jan, can I just talk to you for a few minutes?" And he said, "Oh, sure." So we walk outside, and I must have somewhat of a very serious look on my face. I turned to him, I said, "Jan, I have something I need to ask you." And he looked at me, and his eyes got as big as watermelons. And he said, "Oh, no, what are you going to ask me?" And I said, "Well, I'd really like to marry your daughter, and I wanted to ask for her hand in marriage." And he looked at me, and he let out a laugh, and then I think there was a cry, and then I think there was an, "Oh no, I can't believe this can't be right. It's just happening all so soon." And he just was that was the most enjoyable sort of introduction I got into my future father-in-law's life, because he just sort of let it all out, and it was really fun to get to see who he was in that moment. So that's a memory I'll carry for all of my life.
The first time I met Jan, who I now refer to as Papa, I was 13, and he was the rabbi. And I think 6 months later, he was marrying my dad to his daughter. I've seen him cry a lot since I first met him. I've seen him up at 2 a.m. with headphones on, just huddled in his little chair watching TV, because I sleep over my Aunt Shira's.
I wish you were here. When you come, we're going to come here. NESIYA, we're going to take you to Pepperdine.
Why should you get the
You're going to come here and play with the dogs.
What is your favorite thing about Papa?
That he played with me and Kiki. Papa, I'm glad you're here with you. I wish it was not COVID, it sucks. I'm glad you're here with me.
I'm glad you're what?
Here with me.
Oh, yay!
And I love you.
Love you, Kiki. That was so sweet.
Almost everything I've learned about being Jewish and Judaism was from him. Like, I've had a lot of really good conversations with him about it. I remember he came up to visit. It was a few years ago, and him and I just sat outside eating breakfast, and we talked about Judaism and like what that meant to us. And then also when we went to Israel, and he took us to the tree farm, so he's kind of taught us a lot about giving back to the earth and kind of giving back to Kunalam, all that. I just remember when I was a little kid, like going to Papa's house and playing with Shira, and Papa was like always very happy and excited to see us. And Bonnie stole me and Shira away a lot of the time.
His stories are usually comical in a way. Like his story about acquiring eggs during the Yom Kippur War off the black market. That's a great one. Where, you know, he sits next to this guy on the bus, and the guy on the bus looks to him and goes, "Yesh li beitzim," which basically means I'm gay, kinda, or I have balls, or something along those lines. And, you know, the way he tells it is just this amazing story. And he's just getting eggs for my mom. And that's it. But the story is this huge, grand thing, and it's hilarious the way he tells it. And I think I was 11 the first time I heard it, and I just remember crying. I was laughing so hard. It was great.
We were all together in Hawaii, and we had rented this big house, and we had a bunch of people staying there, and it was super fun. And so Jan and Bonnie had come over, and Leich and Steph were staying there, and Yafa was there with her kids, and so we all came together, and we had been together for quite a few number of days, and I think I might have been 3-4 tequilas in. And I think Elisha was 5 or 6 tequilas in, as was pretty much everybody except for Jan. And we all were sitting around the table, and we started talking just about what's going on in Jan's life. Where is he in his trajectory as a father, and, you know, as a rabbi and a teacher and a scholar, and you know, just the most interesting man. So we started talking about what is it that he loves to do, and what is it that's important to him, and what would he like to be doing as he moved through the, you know, next number of years of his life. And he said to us, you know, I really want to keep, you know, this platform that I have of how do I reach people, how do I have an impact on people. And that's something that Jan does so well. He really has an impact on people. He can change people's lives. I've, you know, witnessed it, I've seen it, I know it can be done from where he comes from. And so we sort of sat around the table and we started brainstorming, and lo and behold, there kind of came to this moment in time where we thought, well, Jan, you know, you really need to deliver your message. You really should be reaching more people. And what better way to do that than a podcast? And so guess what? Fast forward, Jan Goldstein, All That Matters, top 10 in the world of podcasts. Now that is something. That is something. That's all I got, folks.
In 2014, Goldstein was begged by the producers of a show called Being Mary Jane to come on and play, well, basically himself.
When in fact the only way to truly do it, to really do it, is to start with forgiveness. Whether you're learning to forgive yourself for years of repeated disappointment, or whether you're searching to forgive the ones you love for repeatedly disappointing you, there will come a time when you'll be asked to utter the words, "I forgive you," or you can rise from the ashes and move forward. I choose forgiveness.
I'd like to thank Rabbi Goldstein for his words of wisdom.
Super Agent Dick Chase, without hesitation, after viewing this clip, jumped on the phone with his guy over at New Line to get Goldstein in for the Wizard in the upcoming remake of The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. Hello, Maury? Yeah, this is Dick. Look, you're looking for somebody to play in the new Wizard of Oz? You know, it's really coming out. Yeah, yeah. I got a guy for you who'll be perfect for the job. Okay, let's put it this way. Here are his credentials. He's a rabbi. He's an actor. He's a author. He's written a lot of stuff, and he looks the part. He'd be a great Wizard of Oz. Yeah, yeah. And he's done religious activities for my family, but that's just part of it. He's got a good singing voice. Great outgoing fellow. He's just turning 70, so he's not that old, really. I mean, he'd be a good fit for the job. Yeah, he's got a good personality, hot wife. Yeah, that's irrelevant. Okay, so anyway, we've been lucky to know Jan for many of these years, but I guess maybe 20 years. And I can't think of a better guy for the job, and he can also work on the script. So I want to wish him happy birthday. When you see him, wish him happy birthday. He's kind of hard to get a hold of. He's always in meetings. I don't understand. Meeting, but that's the way he is. Yeah, so he's your man, and happy birthday, Jan.
I was beginning to think you were a no-show.
Sorry about all the cloak and dagger.
Well, the last time I saw Jan was before the pandemic. And I believe it was at Roma Downey's and Mark Burnett's home in Malibu. And I think I, probably had a few drinks, and I saw Jan across the room talking to Lady Gaga. And I was like, oh, there's Bacheva's dad. And I went over, and he introduced himself as the rockin' rabbi. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And I hadn't seen him in a bit, and he asked me if I wanted to meet God, which, I know Bacheva kind of looks to her dad as God. I was like, sure. And he handed me some mushrooms, fudge mushroom. And I was like, sure, thank you very much. And it was like about 2:30 in the morning at this time. And I'd had quite a few drinks, so it was probably not the wisest thing to do, but it was Jan, so I took it. And it was pretty good after about an hour or two. I'm at the end of Roma's driveway with Lady Gaga vomiting. And then I began to wonder if that was Jan Goldstein at all that has actually been the rockin' rabbi. But I don't know, Jan, was that you? Maybe you can ask him when you see him. I'm not sure. I haven't seen him yet still since the pandemic has been going on. But he's he definitely sorted me out that night. So happy birthday to him too, and may this be the best year of his life.
Les combats, le cirque est plein ces jours de fête, le cirque est plein du haut en bas.
One of the most remarkable things to me about Jan, as I've gotten to know him over the years, is how important family is to him. He's always telling these amazing stories about his family that show how proud he is of them, whether it's his mother's poetry or his dad's involvement in theater in Vermont, all the accomplishments of his siblings, and of course, Bonnie and Yafa and Batsheva, Elisha and Shira, and then as the grandkids have come along too. I was in Los Angeles for Father's Day one year, And it happened to be the first Father's Day after my own father had passed away. And at one point, Jan turned to me and said something like, we're so glad that you're here, and this must be hard for you, and no one will, and nothing can ever replace your own family, but know that you're always welcome as part of our family and our celebrations. And that coming from a man who's so passionate about family was remarkable. That he sees family and mishpacha is not as something that keeps people out or that builds walls, but is something that is an invitation and invites people in. So it was very special.
All of us here at Vermont PBS would like to thank you for spending your time with us over these last 4 episodes. We hope you've enjoyed them and will be with us here next week, where we profile my guy, PewDiePie.
Kind of hit it at the tail end. That was kind of neat, don't you think?